To Ottawa now, as the driver of a downtown bus involved in a deadly crash last January has now been charged with more than 36 offenses. 3 people died when the top of the double-decker bus was sheared off, and there were many serious injuries. Let's go to our Ottawa bureau right now. Amanda Pfeffer standing by with more on this story. So let's begin here, Amanda, with the charges laid today.
Yeah, a lot of charges, as you mentioned. 3 charges of dangerous driving causing death. And again, 3 people were killed in this terrible collision that happened last January. 35 charges of dangerous driving causing bodily harm. So we're talking about 3 dozen people who were injured during this accident. And again, if you see some of the visuals from this accident, the bus was coming into the station. It was the coldest day of the year, and it was sliding into and smashed into this overhang, shearing off the roof, and really doing a lot of damage to the people who were particularly on the upper levels. People, in the days that followed this incident, we began getting calls, other newsrooms began getting calls, people who had worked with this driver for OC Transpo, who said that she was a very new driver, perhaps less than a year driving experience, and then in just the previous December, a month prior to this accident, she had been in another accident driving a bus, also causing injuries in that incident, although not nearly as severe as these. And so this investigation has taken the last 8 months. We heard that Aissatou Diallo turned herself in this morning. We heard that they had decided to go ahead and make these charges. She will appear in court later in September. One of the things that people were wondering, because of her history with OC Transpo, whether the city itself would be charged under the criminal code. And what we heard today from the interim chief, Steve Bell, was that they had decided not to go ahead and do that. Have a listen.
All aspects and all people involved were examined. That would include the operator and the employer of the person charged right now, so that is the City of Ottawa. As a result of our thorough investigation, it's been determined that there is no criminal liability by the city in terms of how it contributed to this accident, and in that there will be no charges laid against the city, and there will be no more further charges coming out of this investigation.
We know that many families were hoping to see charges today, but some grassroots organizations, Ottawa Transit Riders, for instance, I've already had a conversation with them who say that they had hoped to hear that the Ottawa service, the public service, had some learning experience out of that, perhaps some charges other than just retiring Bus Route 269. We have had a statement from the Mayor, Jim Watson. He said that today is a difficult day for families of the 3 residents who lost their lives, but he said he would not be able to comment any further on this issue because it is now before the courts.
So that is the Ottawa Mayor. What about other reaction, though? Obviously, this story horrified many people. What has been the general reaction to the announcement of these charges?
This is what we're going out and gathering today. We know that for some family members that this was very important to them, that they see some kind of justice done. But there will be disappointment that the city is not at least explaining to the public today. They'll be hoping to hear that today, that they have changed something in terms of how they train drivers, or something with regard to drivers in terms of what they learned from this terrible, tragic experience that happened last January.
Okay, Amanda, we will speak again. The CBC's Amanda Pfeffer in Ottawa.